In this video, I'm going to show you how to work with tables. Now, a table is a grid of cells arranged in rows and columns. Tables can be used to organize any type of content, whether you're working with text or numerical data. In Word, you can quickly insert a blank table, or you can convert existing data into a table. Now, I've opened up the book review Harry Potter 2 file. And I'm just going to scroll to the end where I have a couple of tables built. Now, this first table deals with Harry Potter book data, and the second one deals with Harry Potter movie data. We're going to use these tables when we do our editing and formatting. But I'd like to begin by showing you how to build a table. So I'm just going to scroll up a little bit, and I'm going to put my cursor after the conclusion. Now, Word offers a couple of different ways for you to build a table. First, you click on the Insert tab, and you have this Tables group. So if I click the drop arrow, I have 3 different ways to insert a table. I can highlight my columns and rows on this grid, and then just click when I'm ready to insert it, and you can see it populating in my document. Or I can use the Insert Table tool, where I have to choose the number of columns and rows, and I can also adjust my auto fit behavior if I'd like. And the last option is the Draw Table option. This makes your mouse pointer into a pencil, and you have to physically draw the structure and then draw in the columns and rows. I'm just going to undo this, and I'm going to use the grid. So I'm going to draw a small table, 4 columns and 3 rows. So as soon as I click, my table structure is drawn, and I can begin to enter data into it. So I'm just going to start to recreate a little bit of this book data table. So in the very first cell, I'm just going to type book name, and then publish year, and then copies sold, and then pages. Now, I clicked tab after each entry to navigate to the next block. You could also click. Now, I want to point out that if I want to interact with my table, I have these Table Tools contextual tabs. Table Design obviously holds all of the tools for designing my table, and Table Layout allows me to manipulate the structure of my table. So on the Layout tab, I can do things like insert and delete columns and rows, or merge cells, or adjust the size of cells, and so on. So I'm going to add a couple more columns. So I'm clicked here in this Pages column. To add another column to the right, I just go to this Rows and Columns group and choose Insert Right. And I want to put one more, so I'm going to click it a second time. And now I can type in words, and I can type in awards. Now, I'm not going to recreate everything in this table because that would just take too much time. I just wanted to use this example to show you how to build the structure of a table and how to modify it. Now, if you want to interact with the entire table, you have this table selection tool, and that selects the whole table. So let's say I wanted to bold everything, or I wanted to give it a background color. Okay, I could work that way by selecting the whole table, and then working with my available formatting tools. Now, if I wanted to work with them on my home tab, I could do that too. Okay, I could use whatever I'd like, just like regular text. So if I want to change my font type, I just navigate to my home tab and select the appropriate buttons from my font group, and so on. So deleting a table. If you try to delete a table from this table selection tool, all that's going to do is select the whole table. And if you hit the delete button, you're just deleting the data in the table. But if you want to delete the table structure itself, I like to grab the space above and below the table and then hit my delete key. I just find that that's easier. Now you'll probably notice when I did that, I inadvertently deleted my page break. So I'm just going to put another one in by hitting Control and Enter and moving my data back down. So now I'm going to use these two tables to show you how to do some formatting and editing. So I'm going to begin by clicking in the header row of my book data table. And I'm going to select the Layout tab. I'd like to insert a row above so that I can enter a title. So I'm going to call this Harry Potter book data. And let's say I want to merge and center this across the whole top row so it's a title. I select that whole top row, and then I have this merge group. So I'm going to click Merge Cells, and I can see that it joined them together. That's what merge means. And I can center by clicking the center button. And then again, if I wanted to do any formatting, I could work from my home tab, bold it, make it bigger, and so on. Now, if you want to delete a column or a row, you click in that column or row. I'll delete this row title. And you have this delete button. So I'm going to delete the row. And if I wanted to delete a column, same thing. I click in the column I want to delete, or I select the columns I want to delete if it's more than one. And then I just, from the delete menu, I would choose delete columns. But I like them, so I'm going to bring them back. Okay, let's see some other options on the Layout tab. The cell size. So you can adjust your cell size by using these tools, but I usually like to use the tools right in the table. So for example, if I wanted to make a column wider or smaller, I get this column adjustment tool and I click and drag. And notice as I do, the one that I'm making smaller, the size of the overall table is adjusted to accommodate for that. So see how it made this column wider, and now it's making this one wider. And if I want to adjust the whole table, I got to grab that one on the end. Okay, so I can play with this and try to make them, fit better. Okay, now let's see, also on your Layout tab, let's look at a sort. So let's say I wanted to sort my data in a particular order. Let's say I wanted it to be sorted by my total awards won column, and I want to sort it in ascending order. You select all your data, so I could do that with my table selection tool. I click on my sort button, and that opens up my sort window. And notice this button's checked off. It says my list has a header row, because it does. It's this top row with all the categories listed. If I click this sort by drop arrow, that has my header names in it, so I can choose what I want to sort by. And I said I wanted to do it by total awards won. This is numerical data, so I would choose number. And then I will go descending order, which is backwards. Okay, so it shows the highest awards down to the lowest awards. If I want to resort it, I can click that sort button again, choose a different sort by category. I will go with copies sold worldwide. Number, and this time I'll go in ascending order. And you can see it's sorted that way. So that's how you do a sort. Now notice you also have this formula button. I'm going to add another row to the end of my table. So I can either use this insert below button, or I could hit my tab key and it'll automatically put a row in. And that worked because I had activated the last row in the table. So here I'm going to make this averages. Now, the formulas that are available for tables in Word are just basic, simple formulas. And if you hover over that formula button, it tells you that. So the way it works is you click where you want your formula to be. So I want to know the average number of pages in a Harry Potter book. So I'm going to click here in the pages group. I'm going to go to formula. By default, it gives me the sum, which adds things up. So I'm going to carefully backspace the word sum out of there and type in average. And then I'm just going to hit OK. And there's my average. Okay, let me take this word averages out of here because I'm going to do a couple of different formulas. Let's say I want to know how many awards were won total. So I would want to add those all up. I would go to the formula bar. Sum is the default for adding, so I'll leave that there and just hit OK. Now, if for some reason I didn't want to add the numbers above, let's say the numbers I wanted to add were to the left, then I would carefully delete that word above and type in left or right or below, whatever my case might be. Okay, I'm going to delete this row. So I'm going to select it and hit delete row. And now I'm going to do some formatting. So I'm going to click to my table design. And I'm looking at this table styles. And I'm going to click on the drop arrow to see the different ones. So they're all named. I have my grid tables, my list tables. And if I hover over the individual tables, they all have different names as well. So I'm going to choose this one, Grid Table 5, Dark Accent 4. Now, when you choose a table style, there are table style options that come with it automatically. For example, my header row is checked off, which works for me because I do have a header row. But if I didn't want it formatted in a special way, I could uncheck it and now it's not. Okay, but I like it, so I'm going to keep it there. Total row. This treats the bottom row of your table as if it were a total row, like it did a calculation. Mine doesn't, so I'm going to uncheck that. Banded rows puts a color in every other row. I like mine to be solid. And first column, because my first column is headings, I'm going to leave that with special formatting. Okay, and then if I want to change my shading, I can work with my shading options. I would select what I want to apply it to and then go from there. So let's say I want to do a light green. If I wanted to apply borders, I could choose the style. I like the one I have. The color, I'll go with something that stands out. And the weight. And then when I click outside, you can see the changes. So now I'm just going to navigate back to the layout tab and I'm going to select my whole table. And I want to show you how to convert a table to text. So it's just a button push, convert to text. And it asks me, how I want to separate my text. Do I want to do it with tabs, commas, other? I'll do it with tabs. And when I hit OK, now I have my data in text form. And if I wanted to change that to a table, insert table, convert text to table. Number of rows 6, number of columns 6, number of rows 8. I think that's right. I'm going to click OK. And there you go. So that's working with tables.